Okay, Vanina, let's see, start.
We're calling the meeting to order. 5 board members are present. Board member Foster will be away for this meeting, and board member De La Torre will be joining us shortly if he's not here yet. So Oscar, when you get here, I'll let Sarah know. So we will begin. That is our roll call. We'll go to the Pledge of Allegiance, which I will count to 3, and then everybody can do the pledge in the manner in which they are most comfortable. So if you'd like to rise or not, feel free. 1, 2, 3.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, for the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you very much. For those of you who haven't discovered headphones with Zoom meetings yet, I don't know why I waited so long. It makes it so much easier to talk when you're here. I recommend it. Approval of the agenda. Before we do the approval agenda, I'm going to read out the one DN from our closed session. DN 1020-1920, final settlement agreement. Kindly note that the summary of the settlement is as follows. The district agrees to reimburse parents in an amount not to exceed $695 for purchase of the CapDots program. The district agreed to reimburse parent for the central auditory processing assessment completed. Motion by board member Lieberman, seconded by board member De La Torre, approved with 6 yes votes. Board member Foster was absent from this meeting. Which now brings us to approval of the agenda. Do I have anybody who wishes to amend something to the agenda? Seeing none, do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Maria, seconded by Richard. Quick roll call vote to approve the agenda. Richard, is it thumbs up? Ralph? Is a thumbs up? Laurie?
Yes.
Yes. Kimya? Is a thumbs up? Maria?
Yes.
And us, board member De La Torre is here, and he is a thumbs up. Great, so the agenda is approved as submitted. We have 2 sets of minutes. This is a Richard question. Rich, I can approve 2 sets of minutes at one time. So does somebody want to make a motion to approve June 4th and June 18th as submitted? Motion by Maria, seconded by Richard. We'll do a roll call for approval of the minutes. Richard? It's a yes. Ralph?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Kimya? Is a yes. Thumbs up. Maria?
Yes.
Oscar?
Abstention.
Thumbs up. Yeah.
I'm abstaining. Abstention.
For both or one set?
Yeah, for both. Go ahead.
For both? Okay. So that's 5 yeses and 1 abstention and 1 absent for Mr. Foster. So those minutes are approved. We have a timestamp at 5:45. Let's do the superintendent's report first then. Ben, you have a report tonight, don't you?
Yes.
Let's do the report and then we'll go to the timestamp item.
Oh, awesome. Great. I only have a few items to report on today. First, the first is about reopening the schools. Like all districts in the state of California, we are immersed in developing options for reopening. Given the situation from the state and county are fluid and ever-changing. We recently sent a letter to the community giving a brief description of what we are considering and the process by which we are going through as we work towards coming up with a recommendation to give the school board to vote on July 16th. I've had the opportunity to talk to several constituents groups regarding their experience this past spring with our distance learning program, and to review the survey data that we sent to the community. And thank you to community members. We had a huge turnout with the survey, so we'll be sharing that in the near future here. I also had a great conversation today with about approximately 40 high school students from Samo High, Malibu, and Olympic, and they have some great insight for us to consider, and had great questions. In fact, all the meetings I've had with a lot of the parent groups that I've been meeting with for the last 2 weeks, the different constituent groups I've been meeting with, have great insight and information for us to consider as we think about reopening options. There will be, in that letter we sent out, that there will be 2 town hall meetings on June 30th and July 1st in Santa Monica. One day we'll discuss elementary, the other will be secondary. And then on July 7th, we'll be in Malibu, repeating the same conversation. And there we'll share the results of the survey data. And then I believe by next week, we should post the survey data and the comments on the district website for everyone to see. So a lot to go through. And this is a complex situation. So the goal is to try to invite the whole community to the situation and let them understand what we're dealing with, so that way when we make a decision, people would understand the rationale. And we'll do our best to try to serve all, but I just know that we won't be able to serve everyone with whatever decision we make. I also want the opportunity to let our community know that as a part of our district's response to the conversation around race in our community, we have the following items scheduled. On July 16th, please mark your calendar. We will present a resolution for Black Lives Matter Week in February. This will be supported by curriculum developed by our teachers, ed services, and others. And on August 25th, we're looking forward to really engaging in some deep conversation around our agenda for social justice in the district. I think our district is having some, to the board, you guys have really set a path forward for us to really address the issues of racism through education. And I think I'm really proud about that. And so we want to engage in some conversations before school starts about some things that we have done or are currently doing and hope to do in the future. So we're looking forward to that conversation. And so August 25th. And then lastly, I just want to respond to a couple of emails about some things in social media, some information about the project-based learning concepts that we have, which is actually tied to part of the conversation we're going to have on August 25th. And I guess to those people, I want to say, look, our education system as designed has failed, has failed and continues to fail our African-American students, our Latino students, our socioeconomic disadvantaged and our special education students. And to just say, let's continue business as is, without considering other ways of meeting the needs of those students and really taking education to where we need to take. I would say to those people that, look, it's akin to saying you're okay with the issues with the police department, knowing that sometimes the police department does not serve the African-American community and other communities that are disenfranchised. But some people will be satisfied because it will serve them. So I'm just saying all this to say, you need to think deeper about what you're saying out there when you're making these claims. And sorry, it sounded frustrated in my voice, but I think I needed to say that. And we have some grand ideas to address all these issues, but it requires a change in our system. And for people to just say, let's keep the status quo, to me, that's not right. It has never been right, so we need to correct that. With that said, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you so much, Ben. And just for the public, so they know, so the meeting on August 25th is scheduled as a board retreat. So of course that is open to the public when the board gathers to discuss the single item.
John?
Yes, sir.
I just have a quick comment for the superintendent.
Yeah.
Dr. Jardy, thank you so much for taking the lead on this. I just want to say how much I appreciate that, and I look forward to the work that your staff's going to do in preparation for that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Filler and Jessamine. It's fine. I think it would take us a little time to get through consent, and we have our timestamp. I'm going to go to timestamp item G1 right now, which is a discussion item, quarterly report from the Santa Monica Education Foundation. Linda Greenberg, if we go to you right now, are you prepared and ready?
Yes.
I know it's stunning that we're early. And it looks like board
I'm totally happy. That
Linda?
meets the last meeting.
I'll make you a co-host and you can share your screen.
You know what? I wasn't prepared to do that, Sarah.
Oh, okay.
So either you can share it and I'll just, you'll know when to flip. It's a short report and then I'm going to read something from my board.
Okay. Hold
Okay.
on.
And I'd like to mention that board member Metcher has stepped out of the Zoom and he will be back with us after this report.
I
Sorry,
don't have
Sarah.
it. I don't have it up. Hold on one second. I'm in my VPN environment. Let me go to my non-VPN environment. Hold on.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Discussion.
Okay. I will say how nice it is to see everybody and how really amazing it is to see so many people joining the board meetings. I love the engagement, the increased attendance. It's really, really nice to see.
Okay, Linda, when you're ready for me to go to the next slide,
Okay.
just let me know.
I'm ready. I'm not yet. Good evening, board members of the Board of Education, Dr. Drotti, senior staff, and Sarah and Chris, our union leaders. I'm honored to give an update tonight on the Santa Monica Education Foundation's fundraising progress since I last reported to you on March 5th. Go ahead, Sarah. Boy, were we in a different place in the middle of March. The coronavirus was just getting more attention in the US, and little did we know that our schools would be shut down just 10 days later. As you can imagine, this pandemic has seriously affected fundraising efforts. It's been quite a roller coaster these past few months. It's been a one step forward, two step back scenario. We've learned there are 44 donors who let us know they couldn't fulfill pledges, 9 businesses who couldn't renew this year, representing almost 40,000 in lost revenue, and parent participation in Santa Monica went down by almost 10%. Despite these setbacks, the Ed Foundation board and staff obviously are still determined to raise as much as we can for our students. In March, we emailed our community asking them to support the businesses who have been supporting our students, and we had a tremendous response. On April 3rd, we sent out a fundraising appeal asking for donations from those who were in a position to help. We had an incredible response at that time too, and really raised more in April than we typically raise in in prior years. We moved our annual wine auction to a live online event, and it was a great success given the situation. We knew we had 2 choices, to either cancel or get creative with the event. We are humbled by the many people who took part in the event and are so grateful to our community for stepping up and supporting. I know many of you were part of that event, and I thank you. The wine auction also gave us an opportunity to again support businesses, particularly those who've been part of the event in the past. Many of our major donors donated money to us to buy gift cards for use in our silent auction, and that was a win-win. We were helping the businesses who had always supported us in the past, and in turn, we were supporting our students. So it was really a great success, and frankly, we had more people helping out at the paddle raise than we did when we did it in public, because we're always limited when we do it at the hotel. So that was kind of cool. Anyway, we are still raising money through June 30th, planning to either get as close to our $2 million mark or beyond it. We look forward to sharing a final grant number with you in mid-August once our books are reconciled, and we'll do a check presentation at that point. And the last thing I want to do is actually read you a letter from our board of directors. They wrote this and asked me to share it with you tonight. It's a little, they reference staff, so just imagine this is coming from my board, okay? Dear SMM USD Board of Education, the mission of the Santa Monica Education Foundation is to engage the community to invest in a vibrant educational experience for all students in the Santa Monica Public Schools. As we all know, the Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District is facing significant budget cuts in the next several years. In addition, since March, our public school system has faced unprecedented challenges resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. During this difficult time, we want to reassure the Board of Education and the public that the Santa Monica Ed Foundation stands firm in its commitment to provide additional resources necessary to ensure equity and excellence in our Santa Monica public schools. As members of the Santa Monica Ed Foundation Board of Directors, we are proud of the extraordinary commitment and generosity of our donors, as well as the dedication of foundation staff during this time. Contributions made to support programs in our schools for the 2021 academic year demonstrate the unwavering commitment of our community even in these challenging times. As we look forward to the coming year, we are confident that the Board of Education, district staff, and teachers will work collaboratively and innovatively with parents and students to ensure that every student will be engaged, supported, and challenged, consistent with the district's high standards and educational philosophy, which predate the current situation. To that end, we would like to request two things from the Board of Education. One, we ask that the Board of Ed ensure that any new approaches to implementing foundation-funded programs be coupled with the accountability of clear expectations and measures of success for all contracted providers and staff. The board must ensure the continued effectiveness of all foundation-funded programs consistent with our mission and the wishes of our many donors to enhance the educational experience of Santa Monica students through arts education, teaching assistance, and stretch grants. We believe that the challenges created by the pandemic must be met with innovative responses focused on the best educational outcomes for all students. We acknowledge that this may require some changes. For example, that arts education may be provided through new and different methods, or that teaching assistants may support student engagement in different ways. To the extent that foundation-funded programs are offered in formats other than in person, we believe it is critical that the formats chosen achieve active student engagement and result in an effective educational experience for every student. We must ensure that any change to the method in which foundation-funded programs are delivered enhances rather than detracts from the student experience and achievement of educational objectives. Collectively, we owe this responsibility to our students and to every donor who gives in support of foundation-funded programs. We need to be able to assure donors that their contributions are being well spent. Two, we ask that the Board of Education not provide additional funding to pay for programs in the 2021 school year that were designed to be funded by donations. Each year, the district outlines a set of programs that can be funded by donations to the Ed Foundation. Since the beginning of centralized fundraising, these programs have been elementary arts, classroom aids, stretch grants for each school, and 5th grade ballroom dance. Also, since the beginning of centralized fundraising, the school district has chosen to contribute district general funds to pay for the portion of the programs not covered by fundraising. The result of this is that programs have remained the same each year. However, we face a dramatically different climate this year. SMM-USD is facing a large deficit, which requires mandated cuts to programs and staff. Further spending to fully fund these donation-funded programs will only add to the deficit. If the Board of Ed directs the district to provide additional funding for the programs paid for by the Ed Foundation and the counterpart organization in Malibu, it will force the district to make additional cuts in other areas without input from the public. Moreover, continued deficit spending to bridge the gap between the actual amount donated and the true cost of the programs is detrimental to our fundraising efforts, as it misleads our donors and potential donors to think that SMM-USD does not need additional resources. If donors don't see program funding decisions made in line with fundraising contributions, they think their donations are not needed. There is simply less incentive to donate if our donors and potential donors are not seeing the true financial picture. It is essential that we are all able to effectively educate the community about the urgency and critical need for contributions. We thank you for the opportunity to continue to fulfill our mission during the ongoing challenges of the pandemic, and we are eager to continue to engage our community for the benefit of all Santa Monica students in the year ahead. Thank you for your service and for your commitment to every student in our district. Sincerely, the Santa Monica Education Foundation Board of Directors. Thank you. I don't know if you have any questions, but if you do, I'm here.
Great. So Sarah, okay, terrific. Are there any board members who have any questions or comments for Linda?
Oh.
Yes, Maria.
Well, Linda, I just want to thank you and everybody from the Ed Foundation for doing such a great job. And I know it's been tough, but you move forward and you move forward with your charges that you have to raise money for us, for all our students, and we are appreciative.
Thank you.
So we look forward to working with you, continuing for many years. And thank you so much to you and everybody there, Rachel and everybody else that worked so hard there for us and the students. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. So are there any other comments or questions for Linda? Seeing none, I will thank Linda, her board, everybody involved with the Ed Foundation for the, it's every year is tricky, every year is different, and this one is no exception. So thank you for everything you guys are doing for all students. So thank you so much, and glad we got you out of here by 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
Which actually allows us to try to get to consent right now. So I am going to see if we can move consent by Richard. So motion by Richard, second by Maria. Does anybody need to?
Wait a minute, John.
Yes.
You have a speaker on.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, I know. I was
11.
gonna see if we had anything we had to pull off first. I know we have one public comment on consent.
Well, John.
Yes, sir.
Just for items 3 and 4, which related to potential preschool contracts, if we're going to get an update on what is the state budget that's presumably being passed early next week and how it might impact our ability to start our planning for early childhood education.
I have Dr. Samars Powell had a family situation she had to attend to, but she sent this paragraph that I will read to us right now, which says, we have placed consent items for our state contracts on tonight's agenda. As we shared during the last meeting, the contracts were crafted and sent prior to the determination of any potential cuts with early childhood funding. They made note of this to us in the email when they sent the contracts. We want to make sure we approve our contracts with the state for both California state preschool programs as well as general child care, as this will allow us to begin the process of planning and potentially serving our subsidized students via distance learning. We hope to also get direction from the state regarding expectations around supporting student learning. By consenting to the contract, the board agrees that we will continue to work with the state subsidized programs. So these two contracts basically allow us to do that, to continue working with the state subsidized programs at whether it's through distance or in person. This allows us to do that process.
But so the funds for these two programs are whether tentatively in the budget for next year, for next.
It has not been approved by this. No, this has not been approved. This is really a recommendation, but this hasn't, the final budget I don't think has been given to us. This is the expectation at this point. And then Sue will, Dr. Samars Powell will deal with the logistics of when she can get students back in.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else on consent we need to pull or discuss?
I have a
Yes,
question
Oscar.
on the sustainability coordinator.
Yes, sir.
Can someone explain to me why we're bringing this position back, and is it true that the money for the sustainability coordinator comes out of bond funds, not from general fund, correct?
Carrie's here. So Carrie, do you want to address sustainability, or should I have Dr. Kelly address sustainability coordinator? Who's most comfortable with that?
I would be happy to do that. We want to continue this contract for 3 more months. We have gone out to develop a energy management team that actually will help us save rather substantially on our energy and our energy, water, and gas management. But it's going to take a few more months to get that in place. That will demonstrate and show that with our savings, we can really be able to have a serious conversation about our sustainability goals. But we need a few more months in this. This contract, which is an independent contract, half of it is paid by the FIP program. The other half is paid by maintenance and operations. We have some additional funds in maintenance and operations due to a position that has not been filled, a senior buyer position. So we have substantial budget there that will support this for the 3 months that will get us to the place where we can have a longer and more detailed discussion about how we do our energy, water, and gas management, and also how we try to continue to maintain our sustainability goals while we are also facing the other budget challenges.
Yeah, and with the closure of schools, there's quite a bit of savings, I'm assuming, right? From
we have seen pretty substantial savings. I was looking at those charts yesterday. I don't have exact numbers for you, but I have asked Austin to put together a report that I can put in your Friday packet that shows where we have saved on energy, gas, and water over the last 3 to 4 months. we anticipate some additional savings over the next few months until we start ramping back up the school full force.
Great, thank you, Carrie. Oscar, do you have anything else, or are we good to try to move with consent? Terrific. So we have, oh, sorry, one public comment. Laurie?
Right. So we have one speaker, Wendy Dembo, who wishes to speak on item 3, Roman numeral 11. So Wendy, if Sarah, if you can unmute her, you have 3 minutes.
Hello, it is my understanding that that item is about the PBL, the new capstone building that you're intending to build on SAMA without any public input. It just seems like during this time when we don't know if open plan buildings are feasible, because will people be able to gather together? It just seems that that maybe you should talk to some of the parents and families in SMMUSD to see if that's what they're really interested in, having a new huge building for project-based learning at SAMO instead of like a library, which I know we need. So it just seems like a bizarre time to really focus on a new building without ever having spoken about it. When you were shopping around the bond, it wasn't mentioned in the plan for what you were going to do with the bond money. So it just seems kind of coming out of left field, even if you were somebody who has been following what's been going on. So I just think maybe it's something you should talk to people in the community rather just deciding to build a new building for project-based learning. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much. So that's it for public comment for consent. Are there any other questions on consent? All right, seeing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Richard is a thumbs up. Laurie?
Yes.
Yes. Ralph? Is a thumbs up. Maria?
Yes.
Is a yes. Oscar?
Abstention. I'm abstaining.
Oscar's abstaining. Kimmy, are you still here? Not seeing Kimmy, and I'm a yes, so that is 5. Yeah, 5 yeses, 1 abstention for consent. Wonderful. We have a timestamp for 6 o'clock. We will be the first board meeting that ever hits our timestamps early. We'll move to
That's
item
not
G.
true, Mr. President.
Major action item F1
Maybe in
timestamp.
your time.
COVID-19 operations written report, Dr. Mora.
Good evening, Board President. I don't have a presentation today because my request is short. So board members, it's a pleasure to see you, Dr. Drotti, cabinet and guests. This evening, I am requesting your approval of our COVID-19 written report that was presented on June 18th and as well as June 4th. No further changes or adjustments have been made to the report since the public hearing was held last week. So my ask is for the board to approve the written report as presented at this evening's meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Do I have a motion to approve the report as submitted? From Laurie and a second by Maria. Any comments or questions on the report? Seeing none, we will do a roll call vote. Richard is a thumbs up. Laurie?
Yes.
Is a yes. Ralph?
Yes.
Maria? Maria, are you?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you. Maria is a yes. Oscar?
Yes.
Is a thumbs up yes. I am a yes, so that is 6 in favor of approving. Thank you very much, Dr. Mora.
Thank you so much.
Which brings us to our next timestamp, which was also scheduled for 6 o'clock, which we adopt the 2020-2021 budget. So we will turn the screen over to CBO Melody Kennedy. Melody.
There we go. Well, good evening, Board President Keene, Dr. Drotti, board members, executive cabinet, and excuse me, members of the public. Starting off stuttering, this is a fun night. We have presented over the past 3 weeks our our preliminary budget and our projections of what we think the budget was going to look like. In the meantime, our legislators were actually hard at work trying to pass a budget for the state of California. And so we have a couple little different nuances to talk about since last week, but we can get through that pretty quickly. And I'm not going to push you all the way through this whole entire presentation, only because we went through this last week, the week before, and the week before that. So I'm not going to bore you with all of those particular details. I do want to talk a little bit about the Lcff budget assumptions once again. Again, our enrollment for Santa Monica is 10,018 students. That's what we're anticipating. Our average daily attendance is about 95%. We do have a duplicated count at 28.56%. And then there's a cost of living adjustment that as we were presenting these budgets to you over the last several weeks, we were being told that we should probably look at anywhere from like a 7 3/4 to a 10% decrease in the COLA from the state of California. And so we do have a few programs that does touch that. So we did put those budgets together in that fashion. However, the state has come forward and said that in passing of the budget, they're going to have it be a flat COLA, in other words, a zero COLA. So it doesn't affect us, doesn't cause us to have to do the 10%. I will talk about that a little bit whenever we get into the multi-years. With that 10%, with that approval and with this new message, it was only just in the last day and a half that we were giving that information. And therefore, in order to put these budgets together, there's a tax software, or it's a state accounting software that we actually use. And it's quite cumbersome, and there's quite a bit to do. So there will be no way to go in there and do those changes. Plus, we need to have it all solidified with the state and know exactly what they are going to keep and what they're not going to keep. So I do have some estimates for you when we get to that point. So at this point, with that 10% reduction, we're still looking at the Lcff funding at $80.6 million, and then $3.9 million for the supplemental concentration, or excuse me, the supplemental LCAP dollar. I'm not going to go through this piece as well. I think what we'll do, we'll just move straight to, we'll go straight to, let's go straight to this. Here is our multi-year, because this is really where the big picture is at, and this is really where all the nuts and bolts are happening at this point in time. So this is the same thing we actually presented last week. However, as I said, the 10% cuts are 10% across the board cuts are not necessarily look like they're going to come to fruition. So therefore, this dollar amount here, the 1,818,000 for ed protection account.
Melody?
Yes.
We only still see your other document.
Oh. Okay. Let's see how I get that.
You might have to stop share and then reshare the correct one.
Okay, let's stop sharing. I apologize, folks. And let's see if we got it here. Yeah, here we are. Can you see it now?
Yes, looks great.
It's hard for me to see you folks, so if you're waiting and stuff like that, you just bump in on me. Otherwise, I don't necessarily see you. Okay, so let's kind of start over again. This is our multi-year projection. And with it, we're really talking about the year 2021 and 21-22, 22-23. And with that, the 10% reduction that we were, I had mentioned at the beginning, is not going to actually look like it's come to fruition. So we're going to do a flat COLA. That COLA means that the district's EPA account here on line 2 would actually be increased by $181,818. With that, we also have the minimum state aid would probably bump up another $780,531. And the lottery, because these are all the state programs, bump up another 145,455. And then another 49,938 for the mandated block grant as well. With that, that would bring our total revenues up an additional up to, excuse me, let me kind of back up here a little bit. I don't actually see my number because, yeah, sorry folks, this is unprecedented. It's a little bit different than I've ever presented before, so if I'm stumbling, I apologize. This is the dollar amount that those items that I just mentioned actually comes out to 1,157,742. So that's an increase to the revenue by that amount. Let's not like hang our hats on that and say that's the absolute amount, because there could be some nuances within that as we go through the SACS program and as we start doing some of these figures in there. And we will be bringing this back to you in August to give you a better idea of where the budget really landed. But as I was kind of going down here on total revenue, that means that that $115.3 million of revenue actually increased to $116.5 million. And then if you go over to the deficit that we've been discussing for quite some time, we were at a 7,184,820 deficit. However, with that additional revenue, that would bring that revenue down, or bring that deficit down to about $6 million. That's good news. Those are always good problems to have, quite honestly. I love having those types of problems. I carried that across these figures that I was talking about, so that $1.1 million, or almost $1.2 million, is actually the same for 21-22, and in the next fiscal year, we already have those numbers plugged in there. However, what you'll see in here is that it does increase the total revenue to $118.9 million. So, like I said, a good problem to actually have. What does that do to the deficit? Because remember, we were holding the deficit here in line 72 at 0 because we were put it into the stabilization plan line on line 64. So we were projecting, and we are projecting with that 10% decrease, a $4.6 million deficit in 21-22. However, it brings it to about 3.4, almost $3.5 million of a deficit instead of the 4.6. And then same thing along the lines of the 22-23. It does increase it by a slight amount, and so it looks like it might bring us down to around about a $3 million figure, somewhere in that place, or somewhere just maybe a little under that. So not a horrible thing to actually have happen. It is kind of almost like we're doing a budget by throwing targets at things and trying to see what actually sticks and what happens. So it's been a little bit challenging. However, I appreciate the fact that you folks have been sticking in there with us. I will go back to that presentation real quick. Hopefully everybody can see this. So the presentation, we just talked about all of those pieces, and our ending fund balance is at this time with that 10% still looking like we're coming out at about 8.4%. Is all our ending fund balance, our reserve is at this point in time. We would like to see that get up to at least 17%. So we still have some work in front of us, and I believe this number won't change too much with that 10% in there. As we mentioned before, we do still need to look at doing a cash flow anywhere from $5 million to $10 million to help float us through the November and December months, and we'll be bringing that information back to you also in the fall. And for our next steps, what we want to do is ask the board to adopt this budget. This budget also has attached with it the fiscal stabilization plan, so that will be a portion of adopting this as well. Once again, mentioning that we're going to do the trans. And then we will be bringing all of this back to you and with new numbers, with some more updated state budget information and how that really, really affects our district in August, either the 6th or the 13th. And for that is all I have. I will stop sharing so that you can all see the screen.
Thanks so much, Melody. That's, I mean, because we have seen this budget so many times over the past couple of months, it's nice to be able to hone in on some specific stuff as opposed to the whole pass through. Claire, we don't have any public comments on this, so I will take either clarifying or general comment from the board, whoever wants to jump in or say anything. I'll look for hands. I see Ralph. There we go.
Yeah, no, I just want to thank Melody and her team. I know it's been very difficult to see through all this and put something together that we're comfortable with and approving. The irony is, of course, after all of that, next week the state legislature will pass a budget. Presumably, the governor will sign. And as you know, thank you for indicating how it's at least a small help for us. It's a large help for state aid districts, but it does provide us over $1 million of presumably of additional funds, and we'll get a budget passed so we can. Last meeting, we all expressed our focus on getting the early child care programs up and running, so we'll be able to have that focus. So we at least ended a year that turned out to be incredibly difficult the last number of months, obviously, and can now focus on what things are going to be like moving forward, which are not going to be any easier to start, but at least we have a ground and a base on which to stand. So thank you for doing all that hard work, and I'm prepared to move to approve it if we're at that point.
I will take that as a motion, and I see Richard seconding, so I will do that. And now we'll keep going with comment. Thanks, Ralph, for the very polite correction. I don't see hands up now. I'd like to ask Melody a question, which is, Melody, I know that I really appreciated how you presented the budget this time with the revenues we anticipate, even though we don't have them yet. I like that. I think that was very well done, and maybe that's something we can do in the future. Are there other pools where you think we might see some benefit? Not that we're going to hold you to it, but there was still talk of some reductions in STIRS PERS, or maybe some special ed money coming in. Have you or Gerardo heard anything that might be any more good news out of this budget, or is it too soon?
I think it's too soon to speak to that. I'm sorry, I wish I really did have more information for you, but I do believe, I mean, this is just me, and like you said, don't hold me to it. This is just me. I do believe that the special ed piece will actually play back in. It looks like what they're trying to do is hold us harmless as much as possible. Even basic aid districts is what we're understanding, so they're trying not to, the state of California is trying not to gouge all of us. And I think that they're finally listening and paying attention up there.
Great, thanks, Mel. I know there's a presentation on July 8th that LACO is putting forward with capital advisors discussing Assembly Bill 77, which is this new budget. So we'll remind everybody about that. Could be interesting in a wonky way. So seeing no other comment, we have a motion, we have a second. I'll move to a roll call. So Richard, it was thumbs up. Laurie?
Yes.
Yes. Ralph?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
Yes. Oscar?
Abstention.
Oscar's abstaining, and I am a yes. So that is 5 yeses, 1 abstention, and 1 absent. So the budget as submitted passes. Wonderful. Melody, don't go anywhere, because the next item is you also adopt, measure our parcel tax 2021 annual plan.
And for this one, I'm actually going to ask Mr. Gerardo Cruz to step forward on this. I thought I was going to take off here in about 5 seconds, but I'm not. But he's here, and we kind of rehearsed it to have him do it, so I'll do that.
Great.
Good evening, board. I thought you were going to get to this item much later, so give me a second to pull up the document. But it's a repeat. So let me just get it for you 1 second.
We could gladly move this to the end of the meeting, Gerardo, and talk about other stuff.
No, thank you. Give me 3 more seconds.
You got to take your time. It's fine. Thank you.
Okay. So this is the Measure R plan that we brought to both you, the Board of Education, and the FOC meetings a couple of times. Since we last showed this to both the FOC and the Board of Education, nothing much has changed, which is a good thing. We did receive some additional public comment from the public that we are looking into, and but we don't think anything will be a substantial change. But the area that we do want to focus on, just for the board's reference again and the public, is that we did make a slight change to the Measure R plan and regarding the general education teachers that are outlined in this category here by assigning them specific FTEs and specific dollar amounts tied to those, so that there would be a total budget revenue minus a total budget expenditure, so that those two match. So that's for the summary piece there. And then if we go to the detail page, we again outline those general education teachers, except this time we separate them by their corresponding FTE for each of the grade spans noted. And these total the 44 FTE with a corresponding dollar amount. Again, that was the only substantial change that we made since the last time we presented to you and the Financial Oversight Committee. Additionally, we did have some input from our new auditor in regards to the way that we're doing this and if it can be replicated in our audit report for this coming year. And we did get some positive feedback from the auditor that would be possible. So again, those are the only two substantial changes that we referenced, along with the new information from our auditor that they feel confident that they could replicate what we've done in this new plan. President King, you're muted.
I was muted. I know. You know what? Zoom told me that I was muted. Thank you. Before you did, Gerardo, who wasn't prepared when we called on you.
Sorry.
Do we have a motion to approve this report as submitted? Maria, second. Is Laurie? Comments or questions, clarifying or any other kind for Gerardo?
No, I just want to say thank you for itemizing as much as we can. So we're, being responsive to the public comments we've heard in the past regarding Measure R funds. So thank you, Gerardo.
Yeah.
Sure, we're glad to do it.
Echoed those thoughts. Thanks, Oscar. So in that case, we will do a roll call. Richard, is a thumbs up. Laurie is a hands up. Ralph.
Yes.
Ralph's a yes. Maria.
Yes.
Oscar.
Yes.
Is a thumbs up. Yes. I am a yes. And Craig, of course, is absent. So 6 yes votes for the Measure R report. Thank you very much. And it's either Gerardo or Melody for number 4, adopt resolution 1950 due temporary interfund cash borrowing.
I can actually take that at this moment. Gerardo is more than welcome to jump in if there's anything that I might miss. Just happens to be a routine process that we do every year to do temporary interfund cash borrowing. In other words, like the situation we have right now that we're going to have to do a trans. In other words, we're going to have to borrow money from outside sources. However, it's usually better to borrow those dollars from our funds that we have inside or in district at this point in time. So this is just a real quickie. This is something you folks do every year, giving us that ability to do that interfund borrowing as appropriate.
Great. Do I have a motion? Moved by Laurie, seconded by Maria. Do we have any clarifying or elsewhere? Seeing, we will do a roll call. Richard, thumbs up. Laurie.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Maria.
Yes.
Oscar.
Yes.
I am a yes also. That is 6 yeses and 1 absent. Wonderful. So I think this is Melody as well. Adopt resolution 1953, annual delegation of administrative authority to process routine and non-routine budget revisions, adjustments, and transfers for fiscal year 2021.
And you pretty much just said all of it right there as you said that. So once again, another routine piece. You did all my work for me. So I will come back over to you.
Terrific. So that is, so the piece is exactly what the heading says.
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
So
I see Laurie. I see a second from Maria. Comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call. Richard, thumbs up. Laurie,
yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Oscar.
Yes.
And I am a yes, so that is 6 with 1 absent. And now we move to Dr. Kelly, I believe. Number 6, approval of tentative agreement between the Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District and the Santa Monica Malibu Classroom Teachers Association, SMMCTA. Dr. Kelly.
Good evening. Yes, we're asking the board to approve an agreement between the district and SMMCTA to extend the collective bargaining agreement by 1 year. The collective bargaining agreement is set to expire next Tuesday, June 30th, 2020. We have an agreement with SMMCTA that's been ratified by the bargaining unit to extend the contract by 1 year to June 30th, 2021, which would give it a full 3-year term. And there is a provision in there that about reconsider health benefits MOU should rates increase substantially.
Terrific. Is there a motion? By Richard, second. By Laurie. Do I have any comments or questions for Dr. Kelly? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call. Richard, thumbs up. Laurie,
Yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Oscar.
Yes.
A thumbs up, and I'm a yes, so that again is 6 yeses and 1 absent. This is still Dr. Kelly. Adopt Resolution 1954 regarding the release and non-reelection of certificated temporary employees.
Yes, good evening. So this is a technical personnel matter related to the layoffs of CDS teacher. It's an employee on a temporary contract which is not subject to the layoff process, but to the language with regard to temporary employees.
Terrific. Is there a motion? Laurie, is there a second? By Oscar. Any comments or questions for Dr. Kelly on this item? Again, seeing none, we'll go to a roll call. Richard. Laurie, Richard's a thumbs up. Laurie.
Yes.
Yes. Ralph.
Yes.
Maria.
Yes.
Oscar.
Yes.
A thumbs up, and I'm a yes. That's 6 yeses and 1 absent. Not sure who's got this one. Approve amendment number 3 of the joint use agreement, City of Malibu and SMMUSD. Carrie?
It will be Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie leaned in. I figured that was the body language of somebody getting ready to talk. Mr. Upton,
That is
take it away.
body language of somebody getting ready to talk. Okay. We have a joint use agreement with the City of Malibu that has been long standing. We had extended the last, so in 2013, we had the agreement, we extended it in 2016. In 2019, in part because of the fire and our discussions, there was a discussion to extend it 1 more year, but with a plan that we would go in and we would renegotiate this agreement. With the COVID-19 budget shortfalls and other challenges, we weren't able to get into getting that completely renegotiated. So we would like to extend this agreement until October 1st of 2020 to give us time to complete the negotiations and complete the language of this agreement. Essentially, what the city is agreeing to, essentially something we've asked for some time, that we increase their fee from what is called the basic fee to the direct fee. So that would move them up to what is our cost rather than a subsidized rate for their use of our facilities, both for student activities and for adult activities. So they've agreed to that. Those will go in force as soon as we can start reopening sections. We're actually hoping to reopen the pool. The county public health has given permission to do that, beginning right after the 4th of July with the city. We hope that some of the field and gym uses will also come back relatively quickly after that, though they will be significantly curtailed due to the virus experience. And we anticipate coming back to the board with an agreement ready to be approved before the October date. The city of Malibu did approve this agreement when they met on Monday. So we're asking for your approval to allow the superintendent to sign this extension of the agreement, which is officially put together as an amendment.
Great. So let's get a motion in a second, then we'll take questions.
So moved.
Moved by Oscar, seconded by Richard. Questions for Dr. Kelly on this? I would just like to thank Dr. Kelly. Questions for Carrie Upton on this. I'm sorry, thinking about the next item already. I would like to thank Carrie for taking care of this. I know we talked about this at Malibu last year, and I appreciate you following up on this and taking care of business. So we'll do a roll call vote. Richard, is a yes. Laurie?
Yes.
Is a yes. Ralph?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
Oscar?
Yes.
Thumbs up yes. I am a yes. So that is 6 yeses, 1 absent. Which now brings us to discussion item G2. Direction to negotiate amendment number 2 of the project labor agreement between Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District and the Los Angeles Orange County's Building and Construction Trades Council. Carrie?
Yes.
Okay, Ben. Carrie.
Carrie, I'll invite Carrie Upton to come talk about the agreement, and then after that, we also have Mr. Devon Smith to talk about a related topic regarding programming that this will support.
All right. A project labor agreement is a collective bargaining agreement with one or more labor organizations that establishes terms and conditions of employment for workers, specifically on specifically identified construction projects. Our board gave direction, and we entered into a project labor agreement with the, I always have to look up their name, 1 second, with the Los Angeles and Orange Counties Building and Construction Trades Council in 2017. And at that time, and that included the work at Malibu Middle School on the new library and admin building, Malibu Middle and High, the Building E replacement, and the John Adams School Performing Arts Complex. We subsequently came back to the board for approval of Amendment 1, which added the Discovery Building at Samo High, our phases 1 and 2 of the Samo High campus plan, as a project to this PLA. We're coming to you now for direction to go back and negotiate what would be Amendment 2 of the project labor agreement. And we've listed a few things that we would recommend that we would include in the negotiations, which would include mostly adding the phase 3 project of the Samo High High School campus plan to the agreement as a additional project. We also we'd like to clarify some of the language around consultants, particularly inspectors. We'd like to update and develop and work on developing a stronger pre-apprentice program, which Dr. Smith will talk about in just a moment. We want to do a little better tracking of the employment of local residents, increase the permissible use of contractors' workforce slightly, and any other provisions that we find we can really get that will help strengthen this relationship with the collected unions. The intent would be to complete this negotiation and bring this back to be approved before the end of the summer, certainly before September. So if there are any questions about this part of it, I'm happy to turn it over to Dr. Smith, who's been working with the Union Council on some educational programs that we're very excited about.
Before we get to that, I think we should probably take it piece by piece. Are there any specific questions on what Carrie just laid out, which is the negotiation, and then we come back in a couple months? Yeah, Oscar.
Who's on our negotiating team going into these meetings?
We have typically done that with Melody Kennedy, our assistant superintendent, Steve Setti, our bond program manager, and myself. We have in the past worked with, and there was an ad hoc committee on the PLA. So I need a little more direction if we're going to be working with specifics. Right now, we've been discussing this with the president, with the leadership on how to move forward.
Richard.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much, Carrie. I support the recommendation of moving forward, and I'm very supportive of the PLA and putting this particular phased piece into the PLA. And I appreciate your timeline. I wanted to mention that also. The subcommittee that we had before was myself, Maria, and Oscar. We worked together with you and with Jan, our former CBO, in putting this together. But it doesn't sound, and I guess this is my question, my clarifying question. It seems to me, at least from reading the staff report and the recommendations, that there's not necessarily, from at least my read, a need to have a subcommittee or to have a reconvening of our board subcommittee. In that it seems pretty narrow, the scope of the negotiations that you've identified, and I read, and I just want to clarify, I'm reading that the staff is recommending we move forward and implement or to add this piece to the PLA, which I'm fully supportive. I just want to make sure I understand the sentiment of the staff report.
Yeah, Richard, before, and again, I'm sorry if it wasn't clear, Devon Smith, Dr. Smith has a part of a presentation for this item in entirety. I just want to make sure there weren't any clarifying questions about what Carrie was presenting. So,
those were clarifying questions.
Okay, oh, great. So Carrie,
so I'll make it.
Carrie heard it. Carrie heard it.
Carrie heard me. I think he heard the two. There were two clarifying there.
So Carrie?
One about the board subcommittee. Second about, am I reading the recommendation correctly?
I believe that you are reading the recommendation correctly. I think that the negotiation is relatively narrow, and I believe we could continue working with board leadership if any issues arose during this discussion. One thing I did not mention earlier is that previously in the consent agenda, you did approve the RFP, RFQ for phase 3 for the contractor, which is the language on how we go get a lease back contractor. And within that contract, there is language regarding it being under the PLA.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks so much, Carrie. So let's bring Dr. Smith in now for his part of the presentation.
Sure. I believe Dr. Mora had a couple of comments beforehand.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I did. Thank you so much. So good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Smith. It's truly a pleasure for me to be able to introduce Dr. Smith, our Learning and Innovation Coordinator, to provide a brief update on the journey and progress that we've made in the development of the pre-apprenticeship instructional program that we will begin at Olympic and at the Adult Education Center with the intention of expanding to Samo High. I think for us, when we think about this apprenticeship program and what the possibilities are for our students, it truly directly aligns to our goals around college and career readiness for our students, and truly being able to provide students multiple pathways or options as they are continuing their educational journey. So I know that Dr. Smith has been working really closely with identifying how to best launch the programming, and then how we can make sure that we're doing the necessary outreach so that our students have a clear understanding of what opportunities open up for them as a result of this experience, this experience within our educational offerings at Olympic, Adult Center, and then moving into Samo High. So with that, I would like to introduce Dr. Smith, who will be providing that update for all of you.
Okay. Hopefully we can all see this. Good evening. Good evening, Board President Keene and membership, Superintendent Jody and Executive Cabinet, as well as our union leadership and all guests on the line tonight. I have the privilege of presenting an opportunity for students and community members who might be interested in careers in the construction field. Thank you, Dr. Mora. My name is Dr. Devon Smith. I coordinate learning and innovation, and I would like to speak with you about the multi-craft core curriculum. All right. First of all, the construction trades, they offer an attractive career path with high paying wages, good benefits, and union membership. However, many enter these trades based on a limited understanding and then wondering a few years later into their careers if they made the right choice in trades. Additionally, our high school seniors or local residents who might be interested in careers in construction currently have no clear pathway for entry. And that's where MC3, our multi-craft core curriculum, helps to solve both challenges. So what is the MC3, the multi-craft core curriculum? Well, as it says here in the slide, it's an exploratory pre-apprenticeship course that's developed by the North America's Building Trades Unions. They are the overseeing union to the local that was mentioned by Carrie Upton, the LA Orange County Building Trades Union. Well, this is the larger union. So they have 3 objectives: to educate students who are interested in construction to make a more informed choice in the fields. For instance, many people might go into these fields because they had a relative that was perhaps a plumber, only to realize, man, I really wish I had checked out electricians. That probably would have fit me a little bit better. Secondly, they want to create a very clear career pathway and union membership. So this curriculum in the MC3 allows for students to explore so many different trades, 23 different trades like electricians, cement masons, bricklayers, plumbers, and so on. And upon completion of the course, these students can earn certification, which qualifies them for entry into the Joint Union Management Apprenticeship programs, which are nationwide. So this is really important to discuss the why. We always want to focus on the why, right? So our district is committed to making sure that all students graduate ready for college and careers. Well, the MC3 program gives us another pathway toward offering this kind of goal. As students complete the course and matriculate towards apprenticeship programs, colleges and career benefits can be realized. So first of all, in the academic area, there are some great opportunities. First of all, this course, as written, meets the A through G requirements. Also, the LAOC Building Trades Union has been able to do this in terms of articulating agreements with major universities. Thirdly, our partnership with SMC, we certainly can pursue dual and concurrent enrollment opportunities wherever possible, like we are doing with our CTE programs. And then finally, apprenticeship programs, once they get in, that can yield up to 30+ units toward a college degree. So we're talking about pursuing college and career at the same time. And then in the career area, anyone that completes it, they are automatically a more favorable candidate for apprenticeships because they have skin in the game, they're invested, they're more knowledgeable, they have certification that travels with them for taking this course. Also, if they get into the apprenticeship program, whichever they choose, they're generally 4 to 5 years, and they start at $20 an hour plus benefits. And actually, it goes past 80. There's a 1 or 2 that pay up to 100. So we're talking high wages pretty soon after completing the program. And then work experience on sites all over the state and at times out of state if you're in those apprenticeships. And then union membership from day one, not after you complete the apprenticeship, but from day one. And then of course that qualifies you for jobs upon graduation. So we can see that there are benefits that we really want to offer our students and community members as well. So the how. So although the curriculum is ready to go, we are still in development of the course to surround it, right? We've got to secure various supports in order to deliver that course to the Adult Education Center and also to high school seniors. So there's some resources that we definitely need. We're going to need a credentialed teacher, could be a CTE credential or someone who has construction experience is preferred. And I put full-time here. I think that we could work up to full-time, but we can even visualize someone who is part-time. But I put the more developed end on that. And then the duties would obviously be teaching the course. We're wanting to start at the Adult Ed Center, and I'll tell you why in a little bit, and then high school courses. And then we look at this person as someone who could be very, very central in helping us articulate the course for post-secondary and be in conversations with our construction trades. So that person would have a big job. And then we are looking at augmenting the class with hands-on opportunities. The course as it's written is largely live or online, but we really want to have a hands-on opportunity. And we have consultants like Paxton Patterson, who offers workstations. These are labs that coincide with the various construction trades that they had been learning about. Those stations would have 2 students per station, and they rotate around, and it's generally about 10 hours per station. So it gives them, again, another opportunity to find out, is this the construction trade that I really want to pursue, or is that the construction trade that I really want to pursue? We also need to be restocking the materials, and we need to be looking for space, which we have already been in conversation with the principal down in that area. There is a fee for the course, $100 per student. We are looking at a student fee waiver to be able to do that. So both the Adult Ed Center and Olympic principal, as well as Samo High principal, both are very supportive of the course, of the concept, and they see the benefit to the students, but we still have a lot of discussion that we need to engage in. For instance, we need to know what it would look like if it were in distance learning. What must be achieved in person instruction? What will our district delivery model be for the fall? And what if we need to change approaches mid-course? So we have to talk through a number of things here. And while these are issues to resolve, this slide outlines our desired implementation plan. So that's why I've labeled it a proposal. So for this summer, leading into fall, I would be working with others to develop the course, and that would include that augmentation piece. Hire the appropriate person, prepare the lab, secure the materials, promote this to our population and our community, and engage in discussion with Samo High leadership about the next phase, which would be in January. In January 2021, we're looking at offering the course at the Adult Ed Center 2 times a week in the evenings, and then make that course active for Olympic high school seniors as well. And then in fall of 2021, we would like to do the same thing and then open it up to Santa Monica high school seniors. So we say seniors because the course as it's written right now, they really need to be, if they're going to go into the apprenticeships, there are different times that they are going to be applying for that. And so it's not as appropriate for a junior, because once they complete the course, they really can't go into the apprenticeship program yet. So the seniors are really the more appropriate people in the high school level to offer this course to. And with that, that is the overview of the MC3. And if there are any questions.
Great, thank you, Dr. Smith. I know Richard has already reached out to me with a question or comment.
So can it be discussion now?
Oh, you know what? Let me let's do that. Let's get, you know, as soon as Devon gets the screen away.
Okay.
There we go. Let's take a motion and do it that way.
Well, I have a discussion item, so no motion is necessary.
Oh, you're right. It's a discussion item. So I'm so sorry. So let's go right to comments and so Richard, Oscar, do you have a comment or are you moving?
No, I'm after Richard.
Great. So Richard, then Oscar. Thanks, and then Maria.
I I want to say thank you. Well, I thanked Carrie. I want to thank Dr. Mora and Devon, Dr. Smith. This is exciting because I think many of us had hoped that this was the kind of opportunity that we would see on the ground for our students and in a partnership with the trades. A couple of things. One, I trust that you will be able to negotiate with Carrie and his team to make sure that the trades are paying for that class. So I would think that the trade unions, when you articulating costs to this district, our district, that as a part of our PLA agreement, that the trades will cover the expense of the course. And also, I just wanted to point out that we shouldn't, as my view, and maybe I'd like to know what my peers think. I know that you said that there would be a cost for the course and that we would have to seek waivers for students. And I would rather we abandon that language and that when we move forward, the district contracts with, and so we're never putting any of our students in a position to need to request a waiver. So any student, he, she, they, who chooses this particular path, he, she, they will have access to it as a part of their free education with Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District. So I think that, and I think my peers know what we're aiming about here and steering clear of that language of waiver and not at all putting a dollar figure on this opportunity for students. It would be a part of being in this district and that opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, Rich, I definitely saw four plus heads nodding for that one. So I think you've got the board agrees with you on that. Oscar and then Maria.
Yeah, I also want to echo Richard's comments and say that I'm real excited about this moving forward. As we all know, larger projects, once they fall into PLA, it expands opportunities for these types of training programs for our youth. And so it's really good to see more projects falling into our project labor agreement. And the only thing I want to say, I think it's a great plan. It's a more well-defined plan than we've ever seen with this report. So thank you, Dr. Smith and Dr. Mora, for getting that moving forward. And I just want to make sure that along the lines of what Richard already said, that we also, as we get into the phase of promoting and doing outreach, that we don't forget that this board has a, within the project labor agreement process, that we want to outreach specifically to 90404, 90405, to students that live in these communities and these zip codes. As we know that there are, a lot of needs, for employment, and this is one avenue, and a pathway that we want to create in our school district, to expand job opportunities, for our young people, especially those that are mostly in need. So thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Oscar. Maria, and then Ralph.
No, thank you. It is. I'm agreeing. I agree with Richard and Oscar and all their points they made that the program, we finally have something that's concrete, and I know it took a while, but I think it just took a while because we needed to make sure we had somebody to follow it up, and it hasn't been until Dr. Dradi brought in Dr. Mora, and then we brought in Dr. Smith that in order, everything is now beginning to roll out, in terms of these programming that we had hoped would have rolled out years ago. So thank you so much for that. One of the key things though, is that I know that we had hired a company that's overseeing those employees with the point that Oscar was raising, that we bring in workers from the 904, 90405 zip code. I understand that, but one of the key things that I haven't really seen, because it would come in through us, is that the union has to be a stronger outreach in terms of having recruitment efforts amongst our community to make sure that not just only students or seniors, but also families and residents of our Santa Monica, community, of our school district community. So I know that I don't know where we are on that, and maybe that's something that Steve, who's working with the unions, and you, when they talk to, as you see, go ahead and negotiate, Carrie, that gets brought up, because I think it's kind of got lost. And I know with now this pandemic, it's hard for us to get together. But I'm hoping just like everything is ready to launch in January, that we can in some way, I would like to see in January, February of next year, that we do have a recruitment meeting with our community. And perhaps between Oscar, myself, we can provide contacts in the community where they can do outreach for those maybe adults that might be willing, that might be looking for employment or better employment for that, in that matter.
Thanks, Maria. I'd love to give Steve Massetti a chance to comment
Is he
on
on?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, Steve's here.
Hi, good evening, and thank you. Excuse me. Yes, Maria, we are working with a consultant to oversee the contractor's compliance with the PLA. As far as making sure that we get, I mean, you've seen, I think, the numbers and the participation rate for within our zip codes is low. That falls to the, it actually falls to the contractor to comply with that, not the trade unions and not our consultant. He monitors it and reports to us. They have done some outreach efforts, and I think your point is well made, and certainly we'll work with the contractor, or multiple contractors, I guess, but our contractors, the union representatives, and our PLA consultant to make sure that we do have another outreach event. And we're going to be working to try to increase those numbers throughout all of our projects.
Great. Thanks so much, Steve. Maria, does
Well,
that?
let me just, yeah, well,
Go
Steve,
ahead.
let me ask you this. Would it help in that sense? If because right off the bat, right off the top of my head, I know that there's a lot of groups that work out of the different churches in Santa Monica, from the Baptist churches to the Catholic churches to the Christian churches, that I'm sure they probably have a lot of adults that are part of the SMM USD community, that, you know, family, let me put it that way, that might be interested. And especially now in light of the fact that maybe some people have lost jobs and have to pivot to other types of employment, that would be a good time to be able to do that recruitment. So I don't know if that would be helpful if we provided you with some of that, those lists.
If you have those, that'd be great, and I could certainly pass them along. And yes, any chance that we have to reach out to the community directly, or that we can pass along to a contractor or our consultants to reach out to the community directly, I do think it's helpful. You know, it's one thing for them to go to a chamber of commerce or to advertise in a local newspaper, but when you have a group of real people, absolutely it would help. So if you could forward those to me, that'd be wonderful, and I'll pass them along.
So let me just clarify one thing. So as you're saying, it's up to the actual company, the contracting company, to do that recruitment piece?
It's up to the contractors to comply with the PLA.
Oh, okay.
The PLA has the has the stated goals of reaching those percentages from, you know, the local hire, including from specific zip codes. The union itself can't comply because it can't assign people to it. The contractor and its subcontractors need to, you know, all of the subcontractors under the prime contractor are signatory to the PLA. So they're I don't want to say obligation because it's a goal, not a specific requirement, but their obligation is to try and to make their best efforts to comply. And you know, they have had some participation, but as expected, it's lower than the numbers that were listed in the agreement by a significant amount.
Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the outreach that I guess I'm interested or I'm talking about is allowing the unions to come in and maybe some of their workers to come in and to give them a better idea. Because like you know, Dr. Smith mentioned, maybe it might, you know, being in the trades is not what people, they think it, you know, it pays well, but may not be something that they really want to do. But at least if you have members of the trades coming in to talk to them, what's available and how it works, and, you know, and hearing it from, you know, like one-on-one from people, you know, that will also make a difference in terms of you know, recruitment efforts.
Absolutely, and it shows that there's the opportunity out there, and we're, you know, if kids or even older community members can hear from people who are working in the trades and saying, look, I make a good living here, and you know, this is a career. I think there's a real benefit to that. So again, if you have if you have some of those, if you have a list of those organizations, yeah, I would be happy to pass that along and get our folks involved and get them in touch with them.
Thanks, Maria. Thank you, Steve. Ralph. You're muted, buddy. Ralph, you got to unmute.
You could have just let me.
I was so tempted.
I mean, I think the excitement here is the dual nature of the program now, whereas we've had the PLA program, you know, which is trying to reach the youth in the community and engage them, you know, in the possibility of these careers. But now we're, you know, stepping up into the next phase of the CTE type program where our students actually will be exposed to the possibilities, which I think, you know, is so powerful, you know, that they'll have an opportunity to see a future for themselves, which, you know, which will provide them security and the ability to do things that they want to do. So this is really wonderful.
Thank you. You see, Ralph, it's a good thing we unmuted you because that was terrific. Thanks so much. Laurie Lieberman.
Even though we're having a short meeting, I'm going to try to practice what we all need to, which is to not be redundant. So I just want to say I echo everyone's comments that have been made. And I do want to say thank you to everyone for your work, and in particular to you, Devon, because I know you've had to put this together on short notice, and I think you did a great job. And the PowerPoint was really, really instructive, and I think really gave us a lot of information about where this has the potential to go. So thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Laurie. And I guess I will do the obligatory last comment. I think my first board meeting was when we originally approved the PLA. And I remember doing all this research and talking to board members, trying to figure out what the heck it was about and educating myself. And this was the carrot that I was really hoping to see. I'm excited about, like Ralph was talking about, a real CTE program, a real career pathway. And like Oscar is talking about, strengthening our links to the community. Overall, I just want to say we covered a tremendous amount of ground in this meeting tonight so far, and that's not possible without the work of staff. And I know how stressed and overworked you guys are right now, but the reason why we were able to do so much was just the tremendous amount of work ahead of time for this, and none of it is easy. So I just want to thank all of you for just covering, just doing what you do. So thank you all so much. On that note, we have one information item, which is a text. It's a discussion.
General public comments.
What?
General public comments.
We have a public comment on this?
No, general public comments.
I was going to my information item, which I'm just saying, telling people there's an information item.
Oh, that's usually after.
It says H, and that's what Sarah gave me, and Sarah's always right. H is an information item, textbook adoption.
No, I is information items and H is general public comments.
And I is, then Sarah gave me the wrong agenda because.
No, she did. Tonight it says John said.
I is general public comments. I will now kick it over to Board Member Lieberman.
The one I printed out says H is general public comments, so I don't know what is going on here. This is the portion of the meeting where members of the public can speak on items that are not on the agenda. So the only thing to understand for anyone who has never participated in this before is that the board can't take any action or discuss any action you're addressing because it's not on the agenda, but the board can ask clarifying questions or briefly respond if necessary. But just to let you know, that doesn't mean we're not listening. We just can't treat this as we treat a normal agendized item. So without further ado, we have 3 speakers. Each of you will have 3 minutes. The first one is Layla Franklin, followed by Wendy Dembo, and then Angela D. Scott.
Hi there, thank you. My name is Layla Franklin. I am an alumnus of the Santa Monica Malibu School District, and I've been working with a group of alumni, current students, teachers, and now board leadership to make all the first weeks of February for the foreseeable future Black Lives Matter at School Week of Action. So thank you, Dr. Dratty, for mentioning us in the beginning of the meeting. Black Lives Matter at Schools, a national coalition organization for racial justice. I want to thank President John Keane and Vice President Laurie Lieberman, as well as the leadership from Santa Monica Malibu Classroom Teachers Association, my former 6th grade teacher, Miss Shelley Erkey, as well as Sarah Braff for supporting our efforts in teaching our community of students to be anti-racism allies. Our group looks forward to presenting our proposal at the next meeting on July 16th. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and I just want to apologize for mispronouncing your name. It's Leela, right?
It is Leela, no problem.
Okay, actually my son, who I think had a class with you, told me it was Leela, and I didn't trust him, so there you go. Sorry about that. Thank you for all your work. And the next speaker is Wendy Dembo, followed by Angela D. Scott.
Hello, I want to thank you for all the work you do. And I just want to mention, I thought it was kind of interesting that you spent more time on this new career path option than you did discussing a new $100 million budget item. So I just kind of thought you really didn't discuss that at all. Versus I'm excited. Construction work is a great place to be. I think they used to have auto body shop, but that went away. One thing I personally would like to discuss in terms of what's going to be happening with distance learning next year, I know that in Santa Monica, you guys really pride yourself on nobody, or basically everybody being gifted and not having any honors or gifted classes. You do have accelerated math. But I think with teachers having to teach so intensely in such a short period of time with so little interaction with their actual students, it would make sense to have students kind of grouped by level as opposed to having a full classroom, because I know our teachers are fantastic and they're able to teach to every level, but when they're not actually having any communication besides sending notes to students, it's not really working. So I just was thinking that it would actually be easier for teachers to teach to kind of 1 or 2 levels versus 5 levels of students. And I know that you guys test the students all the time, so you luckily have all that information as to where students are. So that way you could have kind of like different modules that are moving around as opposed to groups where teachers teaching to so many different levels. So that's all I wanted to say, but I know I went to a meeting about how you want to redo Lincoln. So I was just a little surprised that you haven't really had a meeting about this new building at SAMO, because it is a new building at SAMO. And I know you, Carrie Upton, I was on a meeting with you about, having public comment about what you're going to do at Lincoln. And I know there's another meeting about Franklin. So I'm just kind of surprised that there's actually no meeting about what's happening at SAMO. It's just kind of like, voila, a meeting, a new building, So that's what I want to say. Thank you for everything. Mr. Andrade, I see you're nodding your head. No, where?
Not true. Not true. Sorry. We have plenty of meetings at SAMO.
Ben, it's a general public comment, so we shouldn't respond, even if you are I know you want to, but we should not respond to a general public comment.
What mailings, what information? I mean, I haven't been invited, and nothing with Carrie about what we want to do at SAMO, so.
3 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We can, Wendy, if you want to email someone, I'm sure you can find out about the various meetings that are available.
Strangely, I email you guys all the time. I write notes.
The next speaker is Angela D. Scott, and she'll be our last speaker tonight.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'd like to speak on the Obama Center's personalized project-based learning. While I understand the need to find extra money for our limited SMM USD budget, pulling from PPBL is not the answer. This program is in its infancy and is barely change it can make in our students' lives. Research shows that there are 4 primary types of learners: visual, auditory, reading, writing, and kinesthetic. When you look at PPBL and its methodology, students have the ability to approach learning through the style most suitable. This freedom leads to more engagement and desire to investigate their passions, thereby creating innovative projects that results in meaningful learning experiences. PPBL provides such opportunities. Our current educational system was developed during the Industrial Revolution period, a production line mentality. It was mass production of students taught the same way with no room of individuality or creativity. Critical thinking, problem solving, and collaboration weren't factored into the equation. It's only when students are actively thinking about what's being learned that they're far more engaged. PPBL provides students with opportunities for critical thinking, problem solving through a global lens. Highly sought after skills that we need in this 21st century, along with college and career pathways for students. Our modern day reboot of the educational system is designed and geared in project-based learning. It is the pathway of the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. That concludes our public comment tonight.
Great, thank you so much. Which brings us to Jay, board member items. Do we have any board member items to share tonight? Maria? Maria?
Not so much. My question is, I know that next week we start our town halls regarding the return back to school, but I just wanted to kind of add in to make sure that as part of the presentations, it's not only just for me, it's not only the process of what the classroom will look like, but I think there has to be some safety mechanisms set up in the presentations, and I'm hoping that it will happen, you know, in terms of how students are going, how classrooms are going to be set up, how kids are going to be using the restrooms or going to walking in the hallways or going out to, if they're going to go out to the fields or whatever that may be, or grabbing, let's say they bring their food or somehow it's packaged. So all those processes, I think there's a lot of questions that I know that we received emails as board members that I'm hoping will get answered at the town halls in terms of just a safety plan, because that, you know, we need to have that safety plan in order before we even begin. And just a second thing, we didn't open up the meeting in solidarity with the movement of all our brothers, you know, Black Lives Movement. But, you know, for me, it's beyond that. I think I'm glad that the students are bringing up a proposal to us at the next meeting in July. But it's more beyond just having a week or a month like we've always had in the past. I think we have to seriously, you know, and I think I've had conversations with Dr. Moore about that and Dr. Smith, that we need to really figure out how we're going to begin to change the way we teach, really. The way we teach and what we teach. A lot of the books that are being brought to us by Sacramento and said, these are the books that you have to, this is the only books that you could use to teach, you know, US history, world history, government, and so forth, and everything on, and social studies are very limited. And it's only as good as whoever's going to teach it, or let's say if a particular teacher decides, okay, this is a book, I don't like it, I'll see what the format of the book is, but I'll bring in some other outside sources to kind of give it a more rounded, a better approach in terms of how you teach those courses. But, you know, it goes beyond that. And if we continue to teach the way we do and to look at the ways we do that in this district, we're going to be in the same situation, just like it was brought to us earlier about only teaching to the higher end students. I'm appalled by that statement being made that only kids, the top 10% being taught this way, or the middle 10% being taught that way, the bottom 50% be taught a different way. No, teachers are taught, and they're professionals to be teaching differentiated matter across the board to all students. And I don't think we are going to go in that direction in terms of having, you know, a top, middle, and lower reading group, or whatever you want to call it in a class. That it just totally defeats the whole issue. And those are just the type of statements that causes the whole Black Lives Movement to really give it more power to them to get upset about when you hear those statements from community. So I think we have to be very careful in this community and how we approach it, because we're here for everybody. But yet we have to take into account that in terms of economic, social differences that we have in this community, we have to support those students who do not have the economic situation that many of us do. We sit on the board. All of us on the board are in a middle income or higher income situation. And we understand that most of our families do, but then we forget about the bottom, the lower income set of families that you might have a family of 10 living in a one bedroom, or do not have the internet, do not have, the devices needed to actually be able to produce a high-end product of education that, let's say, my children would have had in my home. So we really have to be really cognizant of that. And really, I think if we are really for this community, I think all of us have to do a little bit of soul searching as we come back and really are supportive of a lot of the work that I have to give credit to Dr. Drotti, Dr. Moran, Dr. Devon, and many of the other support that we've had. We're moving it forward. And we've always fallen behind with reports that always set out the negativity of this, why our kids are not being successful, all of our kids, and why we have those breaks in terms of those kids that are not being successful, the gaps. Well, it's all because if we continue doing the same things we do, like Dr. Drotti said, working on a machine that's broken, we're going to get the same results, and we're not going to get anywhere. So I think I really praise and I support the work that we're doing, and I'm hoping that everybody, I know it's a different change and nobody likes change, but I think we have to do some soul searching in ourselves to figure out we have to do that change to make sure we can take several steps forward, and none of us can hold it back. So I'm hoping that teachers, staff, everybody, families, we support whatever we decide to do in August, whether we're going to do a hybrid model or we're going to be stay home because of certain health issues in the county, that we are working as a team, as a family, and just move forward. But we have to be all positive on this, because if we continue to be bringing up the negativity, we're always going to end up in the same situation, just bickering over things that are really not really beneficial for all of our students in this district. Anyway, that's my end.
Thanks so much, Maria. I appreciate that comment. I think the staff appreciates that comment as well. I think we all do. Thank you for giving us a voice to that. Seeing no other comments, I will move us to adjourn our meeting. Just to remind people that we have the town halls coming up to talk about the fall on June 30th for elementary in Santa Monica, July 1st for secondary in Santa Monica, and July 7th for Malibu. Yeah. So I encourage people to attend those meetings. You can submit questions ahead of time, so then we can aggregate the questions and have the meeting run more smoothly.
Thank you, John, for a good meeting.
Thank you.
Good.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you,
Be
everybody.
well.
See you guys.
Be well and safe.
See you soon.
See you next year.
Power to the people.
Week.
Sí se puede, sí se puede.
That's right.